Hi guys, it's me, Faye, here at Faye Desk, and I'm with Harmony in the lovely Circle Temple room, and we are doing another video for my bite-sized spirituality series, and in this video we are going to be talking about intuition, and I feel that intuition is it's a very important part of life. It's something that I feel gets, unnecessary negative sort of feedback, and it's something that you sort of associate, I sort of associate, especially with, I don't know why, with women and especially being a witch and stuff. I feel like it feels more like we rely on intuition more, if that makes sense. I mean, how do you sort of view intuition personally, and do you rely on your gut instinct or your inner voice or?
Yeah, definitely I do. I think it can be really, really hard in today's society to always follow your intuition, because there's so many kind of walls and boundaries set up in the culture that we live in, that you can't always follow your intuition because it gets you in trouble. For example, say you're a child and you're at school and you're told to do your homework by tomorrow. Now, if you go home and you feel ill, or you feel like you just really need to do something else, following your intuition would get you in trouble, because if you don't do your homework and you go to school, then you're in trouble. So you can't always follow your intuition in every single aspect, but I think it's very important when it comes to health and when it comes to your safety, and especially when it comes to your spiritual growth and moving forwards in your life. I think that it's very important to listen to your intuition. But one of the things that I found the most helpful was always making sure you have some form of plan. It doesn't have to be a plan necessarily to make money or a plan towards success, but always make sure you have a plan of where you're currently going. Always know why you're doing what you're doing, if that makes sense. And when you do that type of thing, intuition flows into that naturally, and you can apply intuition to that type of thing. So in that aspect, you can always apply your intuition towards what you're doing, and that's what I try to do.
So you think it's more about having a balance, I suppose, of following your intuition, but also as well say using your brain, but for lack of a better term, to actually think
common sense.
Think as well as relying on your intuition. So I guess it is about, like a lot of things in life, isn't it, finding a sort of happy medium, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to say always follow your intuition, never ever allow anybody else to tell you what to do, and in a perfect world that would be brilliant. But at the same time, that isn't always possible, and also depending on the different cultures that you've been brought up in and the way that you've been raised, different people's intuition is going to tell them different things. For example, if you're brought up in a very racist environment, your intuition is going to tell you that people of other races are bad, and your intuition may say to try and hurt them, to try and do different things. So that would be bad. When you talk about things like terrorism and things like that, for example, when you've been brought up in that way and kind of brainwashed in that way, your intuition is going to say something else. So I do think that it's very good that there are laws in place in most cultures that kind of keep you from doing anything harmful where intuition is concerned. And like I said, unfortunately, that can be dwindled down to the point of you have to do your homework even though you might not feel like it. But I think that's kind of part of a bigger picture, where if you don't have the small rules in place, the big ones will kind of blow out of proportion as well. So yes, it would be nice if everybody could follow their intuition, but I think there does need to be some boundaries, because not everyone's intuition is going to be for the greater good and going to be safe to be let loose.
Yeah, definitely. So have you ever had I don't know, you get that sort of feeling, and that's if you have a bad feeling about something, or do you trust your gut instincts? I know some people dampen down their inner voice and don't listen to their...
I do to a certain degree. I mean, I suffer from hyperanxiety, so it's nowhere near as bad as it used to be, but it did used to be really bad. So for quite a while it was very hard to listen to my intuition because it was constantly clouded and torn between intuition and ego and anxiety. So it was just a total mess. Now I have a lot more of a distinction between anxiety and intuition, but it's still not always 100% on the money. Like, I mean, I don't have a problem now, being an adult woman, I don't have a problem with peer pressure or something like that. If somebody said, oh, let's go in there, and I thought, I don't want to, I've got a bad feeling about that, then I won't do it. So I don't have a problem in that way, but I guess I do still sometimes have like inner arguments with myself where anxiety and intuition come into play. Yeah, but sometimes that's really helpful, because the fact that you're having anxiety towards something, even though it may look illogical to everybody else, if it's causing you anxiety, then intuition would say, you know, don't do that. You don't want to put yourself through the stress anyway. So yeah.
And I was going to say something and it just slipped right out of my mind. It was just something, what was it to do with... Oh, that was it. I remembered. It's like, when, like, what you were just sort of touching on a minute ago about, like, peer pressure and things like that, do you think that your intuition becomes stronger as you grow up? Like, I don't know, like, you learn to trust it more? Is that more to do with yourself?
I personally think that your intuition can be just as strong when you're a child, if not stronger, because, I mean, as you grow up, society kind of conditions you to believe a certain way based on your culture. You know, in our society, the majority will say there's no such thing as ghosts, there's no such thing as hauntings or whatever.
There's no such thing as witches.
Yeah, there's no such thing as witches, there's no such thing as magic, everything is scientific. There's a scientific explanation behind everything. So as you get older, if you said, no, I don't want to go into that building because I have a bad feeling, the conditioning of society, even if you weren't having like that standard of peer pressure, the conditioning of society from yourself would sort of go, don't be such a wally, you know, I don't believe in ghosts, everybody knows that's fake. Whereas as a child, having that feeling of, I don't think I should go into that building, you haven't been so socially conditioned yet. So I think that a lot of the time your intuition can actually be stronger, and I think it's one of those things that you have to really fight to hold on to as you get older.
Yeah, so I suppose, I guess it's one of those things I guess you can sort of lose as you get older, and then maybe sort of regain it in adulthood, and when you sort of...
I think it's one of those things
grow into your own
in
person,
so many aspects of our society, there's so many rules and regulations for how you should do things. A lot of the time you don't ask yourself how you feel, and it's only certain things that come into your life where there is no rule book, such as raising a baby, that you have to once again kind of tap into your intuition and think, oh my god, what the hell do I do? Because nobody's written a book, you know, that tells you exactly what to do from the moment your baby is born, you know, in every single aspect or circumstance or situation that could possibly happen. So, yeah, I think it's times like that when something just drastically changes that you have no idea what to do, that's when you have to listen to your intuition again.
I think, like, your spiritual path is another one. Like, there's no sort of, like, rule book, really. If you're going sort of, like, on your actual personal path, I know obviously different traditions and things like that have different ways that they do things, but obviously for each individual person, like, their own path is different. So I suppose you're sort of relying on your intuition, like, in that way as well, sort of, like, helping sort of, like, guide you onto what's right, like, for you, or what's right for you at that time, sort of thing. So I think that's sort of, like, another sort of situation that intuition sort of, like, kicks in, or is, like, a positive thing to, like, listen to.
I definitely think that, like I said, it would be wonderful if we could all listen to our intuition, but it does depend on your culture, it does depend on your upbringing, and you have to be sensible as to, like, I mean, you have to kind of look at it in terms of, is this harming anybody else? Is this harming myself? What am I actually doing to myself if I take these actions? Kind of thing. Yeah. That's kind of how I look at myself.
Right, so we are going to leave it there, but that's what we want you to take away from this, is that it is about balance, basically, and about literally... basically just summed up everything I was about to say there. But no, yes, that's basically what it is all about. But the important thing to take away is that it's not a negative thing to listen to your intuition, even if other people don't understand or think that you're wrong in whatever you feel about a certain situation. Like, 9 times out of 10, going to be right about what you feel.
Well, that's
the
thing. Their intuition will be different for them.
Yeah,
everybody's is going to be different. So
yeah, so it's all about listening to yourself and believing that you know what is right for you, basically. Well, we will leave it there because we're over 10 minutes, so much will be in 10 minutes or less. But we will see you again very soon in the next video for this series, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye! Bye.